Have you ever had that feeling? That thrill in your heart? As if someone was trying to speak directly to you, but no one around you understood? You heard something, not with your ears, but with your soul. Something your mind is trying to ignore, but your heart already knows. What if this message came directly from Allah, guiding you to the truth about your partner? Stay with me. Because what you're about to discover could change everything you thought you knew about your love and your destiny. You felt it before. That imperceptible thrill, that slight tremor in your heart, as if an invisible door were opening right in front of you. You were surrounded by noise, voices, distractions. But at the center of your being, something whispered. A voice unheard by your ears. A direction only your soul can recognize. Perhaps you tried to ignore it, to push it away, thinking it was just an imagination, a mere echo of your desire or your fear. But you know, deep down, you know it's not like that. That whisper wasn't born of your human thoughts. It doesn't follow the logic of this world. It's Allah speaking to your heart. That strange sensation is like a weight gently settling on your chest. But this weight doesn't suffocate. No, it alerts you. It reminds you that something in your life isn't there by chance. And when it comes to your partner, the one you think you're destined to love, that whisper becomes more persistent, clearer. You've already felt that moment when you observe this person, and yet a part of you freezes, questions itself. You ask yourself, is this what I should accept for my heart and soul? And the answer, however sweet or troubling, will never come in the form you expect. It will come in the form of inner peace, or an unease that never completely disappears. It's strange how much the human heart can understand what the mind refuses to see. You can spend hours analyzing, reasoning, searching for certainty in the words of others, in the advice of those close to you. But that's not where the truth lies. The truth lies in that inner silence, in that irregular heartbeat that intensifies when you think of this person, in that tension or lightness that arises without explanation. That's when you hear Allah. Not through a sermon, not through a brilliant word, but through a feeling, a spiritual intuition, an echo your soul has always recognized. Sometimes this whisper takes the form of a memory, a moment you can't forget, a smile, a gesture, or even a simple word. And you realize that it's not just this person that matters, but what Allah is trying to show you through them. Every emotion, every doubt, every moment of peace or unease is a subtle sign, a gentle guidance inviting you to turn towards introspection. This doesn't mean the answer will be easy, nor that the path will be clear, but it is your Creator's way of teaching you patience, clarity and sincerity in your choices. Perhaps you've already ignored this whisper. Perhaps you've dismissed it as a whim of your heart or an irrational fear. But observe how it returns, again and again, like a persistent wave, beating against the rocks of your rational mind. Allah does not force. He does not shout. He whispers. And in that whisper, there is a light for your soul, a silent guide to what is best for you here and in what lies ahead. It is a gentle but firm call to listen to your heart before being swept away by choices dictated by impulsiveness, fear, or the illusions of this world. There is also this uncomfortable truth that few dare to admit. Sometimes that strange throb, that inner unease, that silence that speaks to you, indicates that this is not the right person for you. And even if your mind wants to deny it, your soul knows. Your heart knows. It is the subtle language of divine guidance. It is a clarity measured not by human logic, but by inner serenity, the absence of spiritual conflict, a peace that is not dependent on circumstances, but persists even in adversity. Imagine your heart as a mirror to the soul. Every time you feel that thrill, that inner vibration,
It's as if Allah is shining a light on a corner of the mirror, revealing what you've ignored or tried to hide from yourself. You may feel fear, confusion, a desire to flee. But this is no accident. This process is a subtle purification, an education of the soul, a way in which your Creator prepares you to recognize what is truly good and to reject what might be a trap disguised as attraction or comfort. And the fascinating thing is that the more you shut your ears to the outside world and listen to your heart, the clearer this message becomes. You begin to distinguish the true signs, those moments of profound serenity when you think of that person, those slight tensions that arise in your mind, those intuitions that never disappear, even when you try to ignore them. Every little detail is a piece of the puzzle that only your soul can put together, a sign that Allah places directly in your heart to guide you.
Imagine a person, alone in their room, sitting on their prayer mat. Sunlight filters gently through the curtains, tracing patterns on the floor, but they barely pay attention. Their hands are raised, palms facing the sky, and their heart clenches with a question that never leaves them. Is this the right person for me? They have prayed again and again, looked for signs, tried to understand the direction their life should take. They have heard advice, read opinions, observed the world around them. But no words, no outward gestures seem to be enough, because the truth is not found in books, nor in the advice of loved ones, nor in the videos or posts we consume in haste. The truth is found in that inner silence, in that voice that we sometimes think is invented, but which never lies. They close their eyes. The beating of their hearts becomes almost an echo of their prayers. And in this silence, images emerge. Moments shared with this person, simple gestures, smiles, moments that seem trivial to others but resonate deeply in her soul. She remembers a glance exchanged, a burst of laughter, a word spoken with sincerity. And immediately, a gentle peace settles over her, as if every detail of the past whispers to her, "Listen to your heart, it already knows." But it's never simple, because with this peace also come moments of doubt, nights when the mind fills with questions, when imaginary scenarios follow one another at breakneck speed, when fears and fears of failure come knocking at the door. And that's when the soul is put to the test. This tension that never completely disappears. This unease that persists despite all rational explanations. It's Allah speaking through your heart, subtly guiding you, perhaps protecting you from what you cannot yet understand. Every detail becomes a sign, if only you know how to look. The simple thought of this person can cause an unexpected lightness in your chest, a serenity that cannot be described in words. Or on the contrary, certain thoughts trigger a weight, a tension that seems impossible to dissipate. These emotions are not whims. They are the silent responses of divine guidance that you have already heard but sometimes refuse to listen to. And there are those strange, almost magical moments that seem timeless. The chance of a message received exactly at the moment when doubt sets in. A coincidence that seems too perfect to be natural, a sudden silence around you that allows your heart to finally speak. You begin to understand that what you took for a simple mundane event is actually a subtle sign, a whisper of guidance, a way that Allah uses to let your soul know, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that some paths are the right ones and others are not. So she gets up, walks slowly to the window, and looks outside. The city continues its mad rush. The sounds mingle, passers-by come and go, but she feels alone with her thoughts, alone with this question, alone with the voice
of a heart that becomes clearer than ever. It's not a spectacular miracle that answers her. It's not a blazing vision in the sky. Number. It's those small, invisible details. A lingering emotion, a smile that warms, a tension that disturbs, a breath that soothes. It is in this subtlety that the truth is hidden. And even if the mind wants to analyze, rationalize, classify, compare, this person senses something deeper than any reasoning, a resonance of her soul with what her Creator has placed before her. Every sign, every emotion, every nuance becomes a secret language that only the heart can understand. The world can continue to speak, opinions can multiply, but the heart knows. And this knowledge cannot be bought. It cannot be found in the experiences of others. It feels like a gentle, persistent light, which only Allah can ignite within you, which only your heart can recognize. And that's where the journey truly begins. Where silence becomes louder than any noise, where the heart speaks louder than the mind, where every detail you ignored becomes a key to understanding what you should listen to or avoid. You realize then that this quest isn't just about the person you love, but about yourself, about your soul, about the ability to hear and follow divine guidance, even when it's unlike anything you expected. And as she closes her eyes again, a thought lingers, like a sweet and mysterious promise. Sometimes the answers don't come in the form you hope for, but they are always found in those signs you've learned to recognize. You've sought advice, again and again. You've asked the same question of friends, family, and loved ones, who think they know you better than you know yourself. You've listened to their experiences, their advice, their interpretations. You've even scoured for rooms, videos, and posts, looking for a sign, a confirmation, an invisible thread you could grasp to reassure yourself. And yet, that weight in your chest persists. It never completely disappears. It returns, sneaky, silent, but insistent, reminding you that something is there you cannot ignore. You realize that no words can calm this inner turmoil. The opinions of others reassure you for a moment, then give way to an even heavier emptiness. You begin to understand that what you're looking for isn't found in the eyes of others. It's not in the words, nor in the experiences of the people around you, that the answer your soul craves will appear. You know it, even if your mind tries to deny it. Because what you feel is deeper, quieter, more fragile, and yet clearer than anything you've ever heard before. That's when you sense the presence of something greater, something invisible but undeniable. It's not your environment, it's not chance, it's not the destiny you create with your own efforts. It's Allah speaking to your heart, and you've heard this message before. Maybe not as you expected, maybe not with clear words or spectacular signs, but it's there, always there. Like a gentle breath that crosses your soul, like a spark that you can't extinguish even by looking away. You try to ignore it, because admitting it means acknowledging uncomfortable truths. Because listening to that whisper can force you to change, to detach yourself, to give up something you thought you wanted more than anything. You feel like you might be pushed to make choices that go against your immediate desires, your attachments, your habits. And it's scary. But deep down, you know that this fear is a sign that you're about to hear something essential, that you're on the threshold of a revelation that only your soul could perceive. The weight in your chest isn't there to punish you. It's there to guide you, to make you listen, to teach you to distinguish truth from illusory comfort. You're used to seeking external certainties, but what you don't yet know is that lasting peace is never found in what the world can give you. It's found in that silent dialogue between your heart and Allah, in that breath that you feel but that no one else can perceive for you. Sometimes this message comes in the form of unease, a tension that refuses to go away, a weight you can't explain. You wake up at night with the questions swirling around in your head, and every imaginable scenario seems right or completely wrong. And through this inner chaos, there's this subtle whisper, this voice you recognize in spite of yourself. It's not your imagination. It's not an illusion. It's gentle but firm guidance telling you what's truly good for your heart and soul. You may feel alone in this process, because no one around you can hear what your heart hears. No one can feel that mixture of peace and discomfort that dwells within you. And that's exactly why Allah chooses to speak to you this way. Not through obvious answers or visible miracles, but through that deep silence, that subtle weight, that shiver in your chest that never leaves you. This message is for you, personally, exclusively, as if the whole world could speak and you alone were meant to hear this truth. And if you truly listen, without filtering, without trying to justify or rationalize, you begin to see. You begin to understand that all this turmoil, all these nights of anguish and days of confusion have meaning. Every piece of advice ignored, every outside voice heard and rejected, every moment of doubt, it was all to prepare your heart to hear what no one else could tell you. And you feel a strange warmth in your chest, a mixture of fear and relief, because you know that you are not searching for nothing, that this weight is not a burden, but a guide. Imagine your heart as an ancient compass, fragile yet precise, forged to guide your soul through life's invisible storms. This compass does not rely on human maps, worldly advice, or the desires of your ego. No, it points only to what your Lord has intended for you. When it is purified, freed from the illusions of vanity, fleeting attachments, and soul-weary desires, it becomes an instrument of silent truth. It never lies, even if its needles waver. You watch it tremble sometimes, hesitate, as if in doubt. And this hesitation is not weakness. It is not a sign that your heart is weak or incapable. It is a signal, a gentle warning sent by the Creator. Each wavering is a whisper from Allah, a reminder that certain roads could lead you to invisible shipwrecks if you ignore the stirrings of your soul. This trembling is the subtle voice that says, slow down, observe, listen. When you look at this inner compass, you realize that the outside world lacks the power to point you in the right direction. Opinions clash, advice rains down, appearances seduce. But none of these influences has the power to guide your heart toward what is truly beneficial. Because this compass is not a human instrument. It belongs to your soul. It belongs to Allah. And it is never wrong when you know how to read it correctly. Sometimes you find yourself faced with choices that seem clear to everyone except you. Others say, go ahead, it's obvious. But your heart wavers, and this persistent trembling speaks to you louder than any external certainty. It's not fear speaking. It's not irrational doubt. It's divine clarity, disguised as hesitation. A gentle, persistent light, recognized only by those who listen to their souls. And if you choose to ignore this vibration, life will call you back again and again, until your heart finally decides to listen. You can almost feel this compass vibrating when you think of your partner, when you think of your decisions, your relationships, your commitments. Every quiver, every hesitation is a subtle sign. Don't rush. Observe. Weigh what you feel. And therein lies the beauty of this guidance. It doesn't force you. It doesn't coerce you. But it places before you the possibility of choosing correctly. Every flutter, every shudder, every hesitation is a chance to correct your path before you lose your way. The compass of your heart is a living instrument. It doesn't just point to the north of human desire. It points to the truth, to what your soul recognizes as right, to what your Creator wants for you. And sometimes it seems fragile, almost incapable of withstanding life's storms. But it is in this fragility that its strength lies. Because every hesitation is an invitation to draw closer to yourself, to purify your intentions, to seek what is truly good for your soul rather than what seems easy or pleasant at the moment. And when you finally follow it, even cautiously, even fearfully, you discover a peace the world cannot offer. A subtle peace, which does not depend on external circumstances, but on the alignment of your heart with divine guidance. You realize that these stirrings, these doubts, these tremors, were never obstacles, but sentinels placed on your path to prevent you from drifting. Each hesitation has prepared you to recognize the truth when the time comes. Sometimes you observe other hearts around you, hearts that seem to act without hesitation, that seem to follow well-trodden paths. And perhaps for a moment you envied them. But you don't know that a heart without trembling is often a heart that follows illusion, that lets itself be guided by what shines but doesn't nourish the soul. True guidance, the kind that lasts, the kind that makes your being grow, always comes through doubt, introspection, and trembling. It's a slow, discreet process, invisible to those who don't know how to listen. So you learn to trust that tremor, that hesitation, that inner vibration that speaks to you in silence. You observe the direction your heart's compass takes, and you notice that it is always accurate, even when the whole world pushes you elsewhere. You understand that life is not a straight line, that your path toward what your soul truly desires is often fraught with doubt, trials, and trembling, and that each moment of vacillation is actually a blessing in disguise, a warning that can save you from a shipwreck you never anticipated. Ask yourself, really ask yourself, why, every time you distance yourself from this person, does your heart seem to breathe a little easier? Why does this weight that seems so heavy lighten, as if a veil were lifted from your mind? Have you ever paid attention to that inner silence, that subtle relief, that peace that envelops you when you step back? It's not just luck, it's not just chance, it's a sign, a soft light placed by Allah in your heart, a way of saying to yourself, look, listen, this path may not be yours. And now, why, on the contrary, do you feel a weight, an almost physical tension when you approach them? When every gesture, every word, every look seems to pull you towards something your soul unconsciously rejects? This sensation is not a whim. It is not a mere passing doubt. It is the subtle language of your heart, the invisible guide that the Creator placed within you so that you could distinguish what nourishes your soul from what could stifle it. How many times have you ignored this signal, brushed it aside under the pretext that your desire or fear of loneliness was stronger? And yet, it returns, always, because it never lies. Ask yourself this question. Is it normal for your heart to struggle so much? If all this was truly written for you, if this were truly what your Lord intended, why would this inner conflict persist? Why this unease, this shudder, this tension that never completely disappears? These struggles are not there to punish you. They are there to protect you. They are there to awaken you. And if you truly took the time to listen to this silent language, you would understand that this resistance of your heart is not an obstacle, but a beacon, a discreet but persistent guide, showing you where to step and where to stop before you lose your way. What if that inner voice you continue to ignore? What if it were precisely the answer you've been saying you've been waiting for months, maybe years? That small voice, soft but insistent, that doesn't shout but insists, that persists, even when you ignore it, even when you try to rationalize it. What if it were Allah Himself speaking to you, not with words, but with the truth of your heart? You've heard that voice more than once. You felt that shudder, that trembling, that sensation that something isn't quite right. But you've looked away. Why? Because sometimes the truth is uncomfortable. Because listening to that voice means admitting that your desires and illusions aren't enough. But your heart knows, and it remembers. Think for a moment. Why do the moments when you're away from that person give you a lightness that nothing else can? And why does every rapprochement, every step toward her, leave a strange aftertaste, a tension you can't ease with words or distractions? It's not a coincidence. It's not emotional awkwardness. It's not a problem you must correct through human effort alone. It's a divine sign, a subtle but clear indicator. There is something you must hear before you continue. And let me ask you another question. How many times have you prayed, begged, looked for signs, and ignored the ones that are already there before your eyes, in your heart? How many times have you hoped for the answer to come from outside, when it was there all along, lurking in that silence you wanted to ignore? Allah's signs are not always dazzling. They don't always come in the form of a visible miracle. Sometimes they're found in that subtle thrill, in that serenity that settles when you take a step back, in that tension that keeps you from running headlong toward what seems desirable but could be harmful to your soul. So ask yourself, are you ready to listen? Are you ready to hear what your heart has already whispered, what your soul has already acknowledged, what your Creator has been sending you all along through these subtle but persistent feelings? Because that's exactly where the key lies. In that attentive listening, in that recognition of your own heart as the mirror of your soul, in that ability to discern what uplifts and what oppresses, what brings peace closer and what pushes you away from balance. And if you choose to pause, to truly listen, you'll discover something fascinating. That these thrills, these tensions, these moments of clarity and unease are never random. They are the voice of your Creator, speaking to you in the most intimate and sacred language, that of your heart. It is there, in this silent dialogue, that the truth is revealed. And the truth, once perceived, can no longer be ignored. You heard it clearly. Not once, not twice, many times. You may think it was just your imagination, that your mind is playing with you, that your fears or desires are creating scenarios, impressions that seem real. But no, they're not. What you feel, that shiver in your chest, that whisper in the silence, that voice that refuses to disappear, it's not an illusion. It's not a coincidence. It's not something you should ignore by pretending you're too busy, too tired, or too rational to listen to it. Feel it again. That fluttering in your heart, that light but persistent weight, that doubt that returns again and again despite all your attempts to banish it. You've tried to justify it. You've tried to cover it up. You've tried to drown it out with noise, with distractions, with daily obligations. But it comes back, always, with a consistency you can't explain. And it's not a coincidence. It's not something that just happens because you're alone or tired. This is Allah speaking to you, directly, without detours, without an intermediary. And He doesn't speak with words you can hear with your ears. Number. He speaks with the language no one else can manipulate, your heart. This language is ancient, primordial, powerful. It knows every beat, every shudder, every hesitation. It knows what you want, what you fear, what you refuse to see. You heard this message through that sensation you couldn't explain. Maybe it was a moment of sudden peace, thinking about that person. Or maybe it was a tension you couldn't dispel, an unease in your chest that arose when you tried to justify something that didn't match the truth of your heart. You felt these moments, but you ignored them, thinking they would disappear with time, that life would help you find your answers. But those whispers returned, always, because your soul knows, and Allah knows. Think of all those times you felt that inner tug. Those moments when you felt a slight lightness or an inexplicable weight in connection with that person. No one around you could see it. No one could understand it. The words of others, their opinions, their advice. All of this fades in the face of what your heart already knows. And that is exactly how Allah chooses to speak to you. Because your heart is the most sincere part of you, the most faithful mirror of your soul, the place where divine guidance can come directly through, without any human voice to muddy the message. You tried to convince yourself it was fear, that it was anxiety, that it was the natural uncertainty of love or relationships. But that's not it. Fear comes and goes. It changes. It fluctuates. But what you heard in your heart is persistent. It doesn't die down. It doesn't disappear. Even when you try to divert your attention, to fill your mind with other things, to focus on other priorities, the message returns. Like an indelible echo, a silent but constant reminder that your soul knows what is right and what is wrong. And you may feel resistance. Perhaps you struggle with this truth. Perhaps you tell yourself you must keep going, you must try, you must pretend, because you're afraid of making a mistake, because you're attached, because you believe this is what you want. But listen carefully. Resistance itself is a sign. Resistance is not an obstacle. It is confirmation that your heart already knows the truth, that your soul has heard this message, and that this message will not come in any other form. It is there, whispered, persistent, ready to be heard if only you decide to stop, to breathe, to feel, to pay attention. So feel it. This thrill, this weight, this lightness and tension that coexist within you. Every moment, every emotion, every beat is a word your heart speaks to you, a word only you can hear correctly. And when you choose to truly listen, you begin to understand what you always knew but refused to see. That the path you thought you were taking, the choice you thought you wanted, maybe they aren't for you. And you know you're not hearing this for nothing. This is not an accident, this is not a mistake. This is not a coincidence. This is Allah speaking to you directly, through this language you cannot ignore, cannot cheat, cannot manipulate. It is a call to listen to your heart, to recognize the truth your soul has always known, to draw closer to the divine guidance within you, and to let that silent light show you the direction before you take a step your heart would not approve of. Your heart has heard. Your soul has recognized. Now it's up to you to decide. Listen to this silent guidance or continue to be distracted by the world. Take a moment each day to reconnect with this inner whisper. Let it show you what's truly good for you. And if this message has touched you, share it with someone who is also seeking this clarity. Because sometimes hearing this truth can save more than a relationship. It can save your heart.